Time is registered on the board now as Van Vollenhoven throws in 5 yards inside Waikato's 25. Up they go, it's on the ground, it comes to Gentles, he can't get it, and it's kicked away, and that's the end of the game. Waikato have defeated the South Africans by 14 points to 10. Now listen to this crowd.
Previously known as Rugby Park, Waikato Stadium has been the site of famous and infamous scenes involving touring South African rugby teams. Rugby was first played in Hamilton in 1874. Dairy farming and rugby became a way of life in the Waikato, and in the 1950s a dairy cow called Mooloo became the provincial team's mascot. The team is still nicknamed the Mooloos, and Waikato fans ring cowbells at its games. Waikato rugby fans are famously fanatical, which was demonstrated during the opening game of the South African tour in 1956. The pre-match parade attracted 20,000 people, including bands, marching girls, and people dressed up as African animals. The Springboks were impressed with the display of Mooloo fever.
If I'd been a man from Mars and dropped down into your main street, I would have said without hesitation that it was the dumping ground for the lunatics of the world. If this is rugby madness, give us more of it.
30,000 people crammed into Rugby Park to see Waikato beat the Springboks 14-10. The Mooloos were the only provincial team to beat the South Africans during the 56 tour. In line with tradition, after the game, the South Africans presented their provincial conquerors with the head of a Springbok antelope. Playing fullback for Waikato that day and scoring a decisive 8 points was fullback Don Clark. Standing nearly 2 metres tall, the Boot, as he was nicknamed, had a huge kick and was drafted into the All Blacks for the third test, again scoring 8 points in the All Blacks 17-10 win. Don had 4 brothers who also played rugby, and on one occasion in 1961, all 5 played in a game for Waikato. The boys used to practice on the family dairy farm, with brother Ian, an All Black prop, packing down against fence posts, and Don practicing his kicking in the paddocks. 25 years later, in 1981, another Springbok team visited Rugby Park, but in very different circumstances. The country was divided over the issue of sporting contacts with apartheid South Africa, and thousands of people in New Zealand protested against the Springbok tour. Inside a packed Rugby Park, the fanatical Waikato rugby fans were hoping for a repeat of their team's historic 1956 win. But anti-apartheid protesters outside the stadium had different ideas. The protesters pulled down a wire fence and about 350 made it onto the pitch just before the start of the game. They formed a close huddle and chanted, "The whole world is watching." And they were. An hour-long standoff between police and protesters, as well as reports that an unauthorised plane was heading for the ground, prompted the police to call off the game. Opponents of apartheid watching the incredible scene live on television in South Africa say that it was a vital moment in the struggle against apartheid. Nelson Mandela later said that when the news reached him in Robben Island prison, it was as if the sun had come out. But the cancellation made the Waikato rugby fans furious. Some were calling for the police to get into the bastards, and others pelted the protesters with bottles, cans, and even a pair of binoculars. Later, there was unprecedented violence as irate rugby fans took revenge, even attacking an ambulance containing injured protesters. Though the afternoon was a frustrating one for rugby fans, for the anti-apartheid movement, Hamilton's Rugby Park was the site of the greatest victory of the tour.